Well, hi there, it's Maria, and today I'm chatting with Bob Groff. And Bob Groff is a licensed professional counselor as well as the owner of Fort Worth Counseling in Fort Worth, Texas. So, Bob,
Thank you.
welcome. We've got 10 more minutes. So, what's one thing you would love for the world to know?
I would love the world to know that the struggles usually that we come into therapy with are, if you boil everything down to the concepts of trust and fear rather than good and bad, it can be really helpful for deepening relationships, forgiveness. Pretty much everything can start from the cornerstones of recognizing those that you trust and ways that people can earn your trust, and then also identifying the things that you fear, why you fear them, where that came from, and everything. And that's always the place that we would start in therapy in my office. So trust and fear is the new good and bad is my bumper sticker.
Okay, well that's good. That's profound. So tell me, Bob, how did you discover
So I
this?
discovered this personally through my own struggle with substance addiction, and then learning the concepts of internal family systems over all the treatment centers I went to and psychiatrists and everybody that was trying to fix me for a good 20 years. And then
Wow.
through the practice of IFS, I was able to meet a part of me that was the part that was responsible for using drugs and everything. And it was such an innocent good intention of this you know feeling of mine that was saying, when you feel bad, I just want you to feel better. And so I was like, okay, that's way different than all the ways that people have taught me how to kill this thing or whatever else they tried to get me to do. And
Yes, that's pretty awesome.
yeah, through that I was able to earn the trust of a sub, what would be the word for it? A sub personality of mine that would activate or react to situations and lead me into using drugs to get me to feel better. And all the ways that I would try to make it go away didn't work. What I really needed was to learn how to understand the good intention, love parts of myself that I didn't love, and through that, the drug use became entirely unnecessary. I didn't have to make myself feel better because I already felt good. So that was kind of my little journey into that concept.
That's really, I think that's really profound. And I think just as you're talking, it makes me curious. So just so if people don't know, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but IFS is internal family
Yes,
systems. And this, how did the trust and fear kind of weave into that integration or reconciliation with that part?
absolutely. So the internal family systems is actually quite simple in its description, but can be complicated in when you get into things. Basically, we have a various wounds within our psyche that are I am statements. One of mine being I am unlovable. And I couldn't consciously pinpoint that or really say that as part of my thesis statement or the introduction. Bob Groff, LPC owner, and unlovable. That wouldn't be a part of what I would have said. But there
Right.
was a fear that that was true within me, and anytime a situation would lead me to subconsciously believe that, to the rescue would come a substance that would make me feel better. Um, so that uh, through that process and through probably a good 20 other ways that I tried, this was the one that actually allowed me to hold on to this part of me and work with it until it felt the same thing. So sounds a little weird at first, but as you get into it, you realize that you've always done it. You just didn't have the definition for what you were talking to, and you're talking to yourself as you're walking around the house, or cringing as you're washing your hair about something that you said. All of those type of things can be accessed through the practice of internal family systems.
That's fascinating. I had something similar where I was like, oh, I can't believe I said that. I ran into somebody at the local supermarket. I was like, oh. So, always be prepared when you go to the
Yes.
supermarket to run into
Yep.
people.
If there's for
For
I
sure.
tell all my people that do 12 steps, likely you'll walk into a grocery aisle and see somebody that you hoped you wouldn't see. It's probably a
Yeah.
person that you need to make amends with.
Right, right. Ooh, good one. Yes. That's super interesting. So tell me, what's the first step someone might take in this
In this
process?
process, really the book Greater Than the Sum of Our Parts by Richard Schwartz, it's an audiobook. It's easy to access and 6 hours broken into hour segments. I always tell my clients, go ahead and speed it up because Richard Schwartz is kind of like molasses when he talks.
All right.
1.2x will get him talking like we are now. So that's
Nice.
always the first place that I tell people to access, and then anytime you can just get a bird's eye view description with maybe a practice or something like that, usually will kind of get you in the zone where you can maybe even meet the first part of you that you might work with. So it's very cool.
Wow. Yeah, and I'm curious about the when someone, especially about the trust and fear, when someone moves into this, what's a or tries to think about, tries to make this their cornerstone, what's a common obstacle that people face?
If you give a person that has hurt you, and there is a dividing line of when is that safe, when is that actually good, and all of that. Usually the
Right.
case is with family, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters. So it's usually close family. But to give a person who has hurt you the opportunity to earn your trust back feels to other parts of us like a betrayal, and so they
Yeah.
resist it and they crank up the resentment and they say no, that you will not. And what they're trying to do is say, if you allow yourself to be in this person's presence, they're going to hurt you again. So avoid them, get angry at them, do all the different things that sabotage any opportunity for that person to earn trust and for you to assertively communicate boundaries, needs, and the light at the end of the tunnel to that person. And that's the most interesting part, is we usually focus on the negatives first, but we do ourselves a disservice, because if we're able to paint a picture of the light at the end of the tunnel and it looks so good, and what it would it be like to wake up and, you know, look at your spouse and crack a smile and blah 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 and all that good stuff, then we'll say, I can do that. I'll do anything to get there. So very 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 helpful to have positively reinforced goals in order to
Okay.
resolve the issues that would bring a person into therapy, or, you know, asking for advice from a friend or whatever.
I really like that, the light at the
Hmm.
end of the tunnel, as well as because the obstacles, you can feel the obstacles
Hmm.
rising up, but to make it clear the light. So last question. If I'm moving towards this trust and fear, how do I know if I'm doing it right?
Well, you'll usually be able to identify fear. Fear will show up as just straight up fear. It'll show up as guilt and shame, anger, avoidance, compulsive behavior. All of those things will stem from fear. And then in the concepts of internal family systems, the things that aren't fear are what they call the 8 C's and the 5 P's. And the 8 C's are confidence, courage, connectedness, calm, creativity, clarity, curiosity and compassion, presence, patience, perspective, persistence, and then the last one, which is my favorite one, is playfulness, because I want to keep that. That was the that was the first one my teachers wanted me to do without, and so they would try to make sure I wasn't too playful, and I didn't like that all that much. So little structures would develop to make sure that I could still have access to everything that was fun. Hmm.
Awesome. So the trust has those characteristics that you're
Yes.
talking about, the C's and the P's. And obviously you can see I love
Yes.
play. Through play therapy, I think it's so, yeah, healing and
Hmm.
important. That is so beautiful. Well, that's our time,
All
Bob.
right.
Exactly. So thank you so much for joining
Thanks for
me.
having me.
Um, yeah, you're welcome.